well and faithfully
perform and accept
perform and accept
the duties of a member
the duties of a member
of the Citrus County Tourist Development Council,
of the Citrus County Tourist Development Council,
on which I am about to enter.
on which I am about to enter,
So help me God.
so help me God.
And you can just sign
All
there.
right.
Welcome aboard.
All right, thank you.
And
Okay.
Holly so roll call first, sorry.
Roll call.
Mike Ingalls. Here. Max Showman. Here. Dr. Desai.
Yes.
Jackie Hepper, absent. Chris Ensing.
Here.
Luann Jacobs.
Here.
Holly Davis.
Here.
Michael Mankey.
Here.
All right, that's it. Am I missing anything?
Shoemaker.
Shoemaker, yeah, Mike Shoemaker.
He's not.
Yes, absent, right.
He's not here, say aye.
Real quick, Holly, too, on the election of vice chair, we're going to hold off on that because we have 3 members still needing to be sworn in.
Okay.
Because it won't happen until after this meeting, so we'll do that in March. We'll have that on the March agenda for
Okay.
the vice chair. That's just,
Okay,
so I
so,
don't know if we need to make a motion to.
so
move that to
Engels is my
March.
backup till then?
You're stuck.
He's extended.
Just to make sure it's tidy, look for a motion to postpone the election of the vice chair till March.
So moved.
Okay. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Looking for a motion for approval of agenda.
So moved. Second.
The motion and second, same as last time, Mankey and Schulman. Any board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Approval of minutes.
Go ahead.
I move we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Just to flip that on the motion in the second, Schulman and Mankey. Any board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Open to the public. Would anyone like to address the board? Come on up. You get 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Marty Johnson. I live in Crystal River. I just wanted to introduce myself. I've been sitting here in the peanut gallery the last couple of months. I don't have a business here in Crystal River. I am a volunteer, one of many that you folks have in this community that we'd like to think we help make it a better place too. As a volunteer, I just want to hopefully bring a different perspective. I have an interest in tourism, obviously, and as a resident. You guys have a tough job to do. Everybody talks about balance between tourism and nature and commerce and everything else, but nobody can agree on what that balance is. So you guys have a tough job doing it. As I said, maybe I can bring a little bit different perspective. I can ever be assistance. I'd love to do that. If I ever in disagreement with you guys, I'll let you guys know that also. But that's all I wanted to say, and wish you all the best of luck and welcome to the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Would anyone else like to speak?
So I left our new maps on all of your guys.
Name for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry. Allison, Pinkston, Main Street, Crystal River. But those are the maps that came from the collateral grant that we got from TDC. So I wanted everybody to have a copy so they could check it out and see it and say thank you for helping us with that. We have over 10,000 maps that are going out into the community as we speak.
How can we
Wonderful.
get some?
I can bring them to you, or we can meet. I don't have a ton with me, but I have some.
Okay.
Otherwise, the rest of them are actually in their building back in storage.
We'll make sure you get them, Luann.
Thank you. It's very nice.
Nice job.
Thank you. It took a team.
Thank you.
Always does. That's all you got?
That's all I got.
That's a lot. That's good.
I got a map.
Okay.
Like Dora.
Would anyone else like to speak and open to the public? Going once, going twice. We'll close open to the public. Marty, yes?
Yes.
Okay. once we finish opening the public, that's when anyone can like reply when we want to. But I wanted to say thank you for being a volunteer. And when I first ran for election, even though my father thought I was a fool, and he's probably right, at my opening speech at my campaign kickoff in 2020, I actually talked about I've lived in 10 states in a lot of different communities around the nation. And the reason I was willing to step up for this job is that this community, unlike any other I've lived in, will give you the shirt off your back and are truly community spirit and volunteer oriented. So it's for folks like you that, that I stepped up to serve for what it's worth. So thank you for your service to the community very much. Would anyone else like to say anything? And nice job on the map, Allison. Anyone? Anyone? All righty. Presentations. Why would that be under presentations?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, but
You know what, I don't know actually why it's under presentations.
There's no. Do you have a dog and pony show for the?
No, I don't, but I can explain, we can talk about it,
Okay.
so. I feel like that's the way it's done, when we do our agendas, I feel like we don't have any other way to put it. Yeah, so it's kind of one of those things. So, a couple of things, we have a couple of, D1 is the in-state, D2 is the out-of-state. Due to some cancellations of some actually international travels that we were going to attend, we had some open opportunities to do some things to kind of deepen our network and our travel road show. The first, from an in-state standpoint, is obviously the Florida Huddle. It's the largest international collaboration and congregation that goes along in our state, so that's really important. And that's just one of those events where we just need a couple of people there. It's one of those shows where it's 8 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night. So and then it's a good opportunity to meet a lot of media, and that's one of those shows that where multiple destinations, all the destinations across the state are there. It's going to be very well attended from international people and domestic travelers, or media buyers as well. So again, just an additional person for that. Additional persons for Destinations Florida FADMO coming up in May. So we're just trying to get ahead of the curve here. Again, these are shows where we just have to have multiple representation because most of these conferences and shows, there's multiple breakouts, multiple appointments, and it's just, quite frankly, it's just too much for one person to do. In regards to the out-of-state, there are several things. We have Brand USA IPW, which is one of, again, the largest trade shows in the country. Again, that's one of those also 40 to 60 appointments, one-on-one pre-planned appointments where we just need more bodies in our booth area. Also, Destinations International Annual Conference, the adventure shows, which I think one of the adventure shows we are targeting one of our TDC members to tag along for that particular show. Also, and then Zartacon, which is our analytics destination operating system. So that'll be our first time there, which is really nice. I'm excited about that particular show. But the good thing is we're just more so moving money around because we had 2 shows that canceled us. Terry was, what was the 2 shows that we didn't?
Brand USA Travel Week and Anato.
Yep, yeah. So, and Brand Week was that the UK or Germany?
That was UK.
UK. So again, it's more so moving money around, but this is the only way we can do it this way. So that's pretty much it. So but we separate them into D1 and the D2, in-state versus out-of-state. But of course, they would each need approval. So.
What would be helpful on both of these is to know what the total is. One additional for a total of.
Okay, and.
In the brief overview, it is written
Oh.
out.
Thanks.
Yeah, we just didn't put it in the summary here, but it's, I want to say, oh, you know what? I'm glad, Christina, on page 13, I should have said this, we talked about it yesterday. So the total request is $16,800, but actually the vote would, the money would be $16,850. We were off by $50, so that's just a small correction on that in your packets. And this really falls well under what we were going to be spending on the 2 international trips. So again, we were in line with that. It's just the way we have to pull it from special projects, out of state versus in state.
I still don't see where it says the total of people.
Total of people?
it's one person for some shows and 2 people for other shows.
Correct.
each one of the things is broken down into the,
Right, they're all individual. So if you notice, on the brand new SAIPW, it says one additional individual. On page one, I'm on page 13, I'm sorry.
Oh, there we go.
Should we stick with
14.
the first item?
Yes.
Yeah, so vote on the first item and then move on to the second item.
Correct.
It's
So,
not 14.
Sticking with the first item on page 9, it is broken down, you'll see 54,000 travel, $1,200 under Florida Huddle, you'll see trade show promotion registration is $1,090. So it is broken down, there's Florida Huddle, Destinations Florida, and then it does show you, money does not need, it's just within the account, because we're not able to attend 2 of those travels, we will just, trade those 2 travels for these 2 travels, basically.
Okay, I thought I missed this when I read the agenda, and I don't think I did. What I'm looking for is the total number of people that you want to send.
Oh, it's in the recommended action, and it is in the thing. The request
Nowhere
is to
does it
send
say,
one-
nowhere does it say how many people.
In
The
total.
request
total.
is to send 1 additional individual to
Uh-huh.
the Florida
additional
Huddle.
to what?
And that's on 13 now, right?
No, we're still on page 9. For Florida Huddle, we're in state. The request is to send 1 additional individual.
But who's going?
For a total of, do we have 5
2.
people going and we're adding 1?
Oh,
Gotcha,
okay.
yes.
For a total of 6?
So right now, we only have 1 person
I'm,
that's
I'm,
allowed to go to any
I'm
travel.
very fast with my decision-making, and if I know that if we have 1 person, we know, and it's just Terry, we know that you, no way can you handle that.
I got
No
you.
way,
Exactly.
okay?
So,
If
on
we
all
already
the-
have 5 going and we're adding
No.
a 6th,
Yeah.
that's a whole different ballgame.
And
Right.
any of these that we're adding an additional person, I'm already going.
Just one.
Yes.
Yeah.
One
Just one so
person.
far.
Yeah.
All of these
It'll
are
be
only
2
one
for a
person is
total.
going.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is a test case before you, okay, to understand,
Yeah, that makes sense.
all right? A lot of those folks have not done trade shows like I have, so
Right.
I feel your pain,
Right.
so. And who is the additional person? Generally Avis?
Generally me.
Okay,
We didn't put a name to it because sometimes, if I'm like super, super busy or something comes up, then somebody else would go in my place.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, now that we've gone down that rabbit hole,
We will update. Is that something we can update, Christina, for the BOCC? Okay, yeah, so we'll make sure that's updated just a little bit more clearer.
yeah.
So that's fine.
Remember, I live in Adland, 6 words or less.
I understand.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the budget transfer to increase the attendance at Florida Huddle and the FADMO conference from 1 attendee to 2 attendees. And it's purely a budget transfer.
I second that.
It's not a budget transfer.
Oh,
The money is already within the account, so we do not need to do a budget
Oh,
transfer.
Yeah.
okay.
Yep,
So
we are
instead of a
just-
budget transfer, it's just a
The
selection
the
of 2
money
different
is already
conferences.
in the account, yep, so we're just switching from one
Is it a
conference to
reall,
another.
before you make that motion again, is it a reallocation of funds from canceled travel? Is that what I understand?
Correct.
Some other travel has been canceled, and why was it canceled?
Um,
On
my
their
mother-
end or our end?
My mother passed away the day ago I was supposed to leave.
Okay, so it's past stuff, okay.
True.
Thank you.
It is, yes.
Okay, I'll
I'm sorry to-
rephrase the
I'm sorry
motion.
that you had to bring that up.
Two different motions, so there's gonna be one motion for Florida Huddle, and then there's going to be a second motion for the FADMO.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve funding to cover an additional person, to go from 1 person to 2 person for Florida Huddle, to replace a previously scheduled conference.
As well as Destinations Florida, or
No,
no?
she went 2 different
Two
motions.
Yes.
different motions,
Yes.
okay.
And I second as restated.
Okay, motion by Mike Engels, second by Max Schulman. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I'd like to make another motion that we approve the funding to increase from 1 attendee to 2 attendees for the FADMO conference, using funds that were previously allocated to a different show.
Second.
Motion by, I keep wanting to say Commissioner Engels, I'm so in the BOCC mode. Would you like an upgrade or a downgrade?
Get a check?
Motion by Mike Engels, second by Lou Ann Jacobs. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And by the way, I do know that we weren't sending 5. I am aware on that. I was trying to illustrate the point.
No, you are correct.
I would just didn't know if we were going from 2 to 3 or, because
Yeah,
I
that
kind
makes
of
perfect
anticipated
sense.
that the 2 of you would be going. Okay. D2.
Do you need 5 different motions?
Correct, because we need a motion per travel.
Okay, how about we spread this out? Max, go. First one.
Now, this is a budget transfer.
Okay. You're gonna be the guinea pig, and then Mankey will go next.
I'm trying to see if there's a simple way to say, I would like to move that we approve the budget transfer to facilitate the change of, one event for another, for that state of activities.
No, this one is a special projects transfer, budget transfer. So we're not moving. We've already kind of used our 2 travels that we didn't attend. These are new things that we would like to do a budget transfer from special projects.
This is adding money to the 2.
Do we need a dollar amount for each one, or can we lump them together for a total?
Yeah, we can lump for a total, because at the end, the total amount is $16,850 from special projects, so we can do it.
So could we do it as one motion rather than 5? Because we only have a total dollar amount.
You don't, you?
I don't see why we couldn't.
Okay.
We don't have an attorney here, but I play one on TV.
So yes, as long as you're approving all 5 travels, and to send the individuals, and we're making a motion that the total request from special projects into travel and to the registration, because the registration is a different account. So total amount from special projects is $16,850 for all 5 travel requests.
Do you want me to take a stab at
So
it?
moved.
Motion to approve the transfer of $16,850 from special projects to the travel fund to cover 1 additional individual to attend Brand USA, 2 additional individuals to attend Destinations International, 2 additional individuals to attend Travel and Adventure Show, 1 additional individual to attend the Florida Golf Alliance Show, and 2 additional, or is it additional, or
This
just
is a
2?
new show,
That's a new
so
show.
New
it's
show,
individuals.
for 2 individuals to attend ZardaCon, all as described in the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Mike Engels. Is there any other board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thanks for pushing us on the 5. Okay, destination update.
Talk about rocket science on that one right there. Commissioner Davis, thank you for that. We'll try to figure that out, try to clean that up a little bit more, obviously, for BOCC. I feel like when Christine and I were both talking about it, I think it was like the only way for us to do it. We had to individually do that. And then, and we're now in our phase 1 for budget. So, since last year was my first time being a part of the budget process, since accepting the position, we actually, some of these things I knew that we needed, multiple people at shows just from experience. So it was kind of led to believe like, okay, we'll just do one now, and then you guys can just do special projects later and just get it approved down the road. But I think going forward, it'd be just much easier where we can just do it in the budget process, like I kind of, was thinking about. That way we don't have to, do this throughout the year and, go into bigger issues, I should say, if that makes sense. So I appreciate your time in that. Thank you. Okay. So there's a lot been going on. Really excited. Obviously, you all are very aware of the strategic plan going on right now. And but before we get to the strategic plan, I wanted to really talk about the reopening campaign and really the success of the reopening campaign. If you recall, in our December meeting, the campaign was approximately, it was in its infancy. I don't think it was even quite 2 weeks. And I reported numbers of 47 confirmed travelers. You probably remember some of these numbers. 47 confirmed travelers, $23,000 in economic impact. Also, 405,000 impressions. And I was, $180.81 for Rojas return on ad spend, and I was like, okay, that's decent, but it was a really early, and we just received some amazing news about that particular program and with that $50,000, what it's currently doing for the destination and how the impact is coming in. So from the recovery update. So we went from 405,000 impressions to 2.5 million impressions. The cost, of course, the standard is $10 cost click per milli, and we are now, from a cost standpoint, down to $5.81, down from $6.49 from the last meeting.
Is that not cost per thousand?
Cost per, well, it is. When I say milli, milli is the same thing for thousand. So yes, so cost per thousand. I was just kind of going with the CPM thing. So yes, it is. And so we're really happy with that number. Of course, the standardization of that is $10. So we're excited about that number as well. With the Zartico standpoint, we're still doing well. We're noticing those increased dollar amounts and stays. So from that 373, up by 33% from last year, December. Now, there was some concern with FEMA, obviously, in two of our properties, taking up quite a bit of that inventory. But with that compression and, of course, with the plantation, Kings Bay Lodge, right, Terry, being down still, with that compression, our hoteliers have definitely raised their rates. And those rates are filling in very nicely in regards to our collections so far. So from a November standpoint, things look really well. Now, from an average stay standpoint, we're about a 2.3, and as opposed to from a December 23. So the numbers are looking good. I'm really excited to see what January looks like. It's looking like January may be one of our best Januaries yet. And it's pulling us out of that. And Terry's going to talk about a little bit about the numbers as well, because I know there was some discourse there last meeting in, November versus December where the numbers are actually pulling from. But we've actually seen some good signs in regards to our occupancy and our collections from that standpoint, and of course ADR. Next slide.
Alvis,
Yes.
so to back up,
Yeah.
so how much of that is tourists versus FEMA employees and displaced residents? Because the bed tax is great. But
Yeah.
there's also them populating our restaurants and tour companies.
Yeah, so with the FEMA, of course they have with the FEMA they have that. We know they get that lower rate from the hotel, so we know that whatever they're getting at that hotel, which we still don't know the contract, and nobody's really telling us exactly what that rate is from those hoteliers. We don't know what that rate is, but we do know the rate is almost unbothered by what our other properties are putting out there. Now, in regards to what the employees, the FEMA employees, are spending out in the community, it's a part of the number because they're not from here. I just don't know. I don't think it's really that much. I really don't think it's that much.
May I? Also, another thing to keep in mind too is, although the FEMA has a contract for 70 rooms at the Days Inn, there may not be people staying in those rooms, and they may actually be reselling it. Because per the contract with FEMA, hotels are allowed to, if the room is not occupied, depends on the contract, but they are allowed to resell it if it's not being used, but FEMA's still responsible for paying what they said they were gonna pay.
Okay.
So they can kind of double dip.
Yeah.
Yeah, following up, I was talking with Les, the owner of the Days Inn, yesterday. They have 99 rooms under contract out of their 106 or 107. Right. They haven't been able to resell any of them because the guests that have been in there have left belongings in there and have no entry sign. So at this point, there's no reselling. Additionally, they got notice this week that FEMA extended a month for, it was 3/4 of the rooms, and they expected to get a letter today for the balance of the rooms. So they're extended a month, and it's on month by month. potential fallback from me and other tour companies is, I've got some groups signed up for the holiday weekends, and they're potentially gonna be displaced and not have their reservations honored because they can't kick the FEMA folks out.
And is that for the same amount of rooms?
Not for that many, but I've got some groups of 10 rooms, 12 rooms scheduled.
I'm sorry, I meant the
Yeah.
FEMA extension for the FEMA is still for
They-
the
they-
90?
They've gotten it for 74 of the rooms as of Tuesday, and they expected another letter for the other 25. In addition, they have a 3-page waiting list of people waiting for rooms that have been approved by FEMA that FEMA hasn't been able to place. So there's still a backlog there, but there isn't any reselling to tourists. And
Okay.
the manager at Denny's said their sales are way down too. They obviously get a lot from the guests at the Days Inn. So there's certainly a trickle-down effect from the FEMA rooms in segments of the community.
Are you, so this is not FEMA workers per se, this is displaced residents that FEMA is paying for? Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
this is
Because
there's a
the
school bus
workers,
stop.
the workers have more or less pulled out. They closed their center on.
Yeah, so there's a couple of like stragglers, like maybe 1 or 2 in each community, probably, maybe no more than 10.
Yeah, they're still working on getting, the RV trailers and, so there's still some FEMA workers, but it's certainly not the numbers that were here previously. So
Yeah.
there's a tail to this. It's
Yeah.
not, we were hoping it was gonna end in December or 7th of January or whatever that
Yeah.
date was. That didn't happen, at least for some of the rooms. That seemed to indicate there were 4 other hotels that had a significant number of rooms too, but
It's not. It's not. We did the surveys on that. It was just those 2 properties that are in that 90% town. The next largest property, I think, was like 12 rooms.
Hampton Inn.
The Hampton Inn, and that was it. But those are the only 2. And when we saw what the ADR, and again, Terry go over this, but our ADR is like at one of the highest points it's been over the last 11 months.
In November.
Essentially, so, and that just tells us with that compression, thankfully we are making up for the collections, even though the FEMA situation with those 2 properties, in regards to like, stores like Denny's and stuff like that. I mean, there's going to be some outliers out there with sales are down and stuff because those people are not really financially able to go out. The locals, residents are not able to go out and spend money like that, so I totally understand that. So, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. Okay, so Nativo as another engine that we're using as well. Again, those numbers are looking well, but I wanted to skip down to Sojourn, and this is where like the rubber hit the road. So again, last month we were at 47 confirmed travelers. We were at $23,000 economic impact. Rojas return on ad spend was $1.81 to 1. You can see right now it's simply exploded. We have over 7,300 confirmed travelers. These are all the airline bookings and hotel bookings. We have over 3,600 confirmed hotel stays. Now, the hotel stays and the travelers, these are people who have either traveled here or have booked a future date to come here. And this is all from the recovery. In tune for a $3.6 million economic impact. And that's from $23,000 a month ago. When I saw these numbers, I was like, man, we probably should have put some more money into this reopening campaign. I'm very pleased with this number, and I got this number like late in the day, like 4:59 p.m. yesterday. So like to leave the office, let's just say it was one of the best drive homes I've had in a long time. And I had a call with reporter Mike Bates yesterday as well. I didn't call him. He actually called me, and hopefully he'll get some of this information into the paper as well. But we are very ecstatic from even looking at the national trends of other markets like a Asheville, like a Clearwater. Our results have done very well even from a return on investment standpoint. So And it's not quite finished yet, so these numbers should increase a little bit more. But we're really excited about this and the campaign, the reopening campaign. It has worked. It is working. I think there's going to be outliers, but from what we are seeing, that December and leading into January, businesses are telling us, they're seeing things on the books. They're seeing a lot more activity, especially versus from this time last year. So. And then Terry, and then the cool thing is a lot of these data points we have, whether it's Zartico, whether it's with Sojourn and the TiVo and the Star Report, these are all independent, entities, but they're all saying like the same thing. So it's really good to see the numbers really aligning and matching up with the data points that we're seeing. So, and then Terry, again, I don't want to keep spoiling Terry's thing there, but that's also going to be really good. For example, so right now we're missing one of our staffers, Alyssa. It's because she's like live on TV right now. Mike Ingalls is not the only one who does live television. It's Alyssa, and she's right now. Was it Fox Orlando 35? Yeah. So Fox Orlando 35 is here right now, and they're in Homosassa. Homosassa was another community that was hit fairly hard. And very happy to see that we've put some focus there with different social media posts, influencers. Some of our postings, total of 121,000 views. But we're really excited about this live segment. So I think it's going to be really good for that particular community. And then not only just Homosassa, but we've done a lot of things in Inverness as well from a promotion standpoint. And some of our pictures, our videos have seen over 20, 30, 40,000 views. And so it's our process is definitely working. So we're really excited about that. In regards to in front of you, you should have the latest executive pulse summary, the big sheet here. It should be folded in half. I try to provide one to you guys. This is every meeting. We had one last meeting as well. Honestly, the numbers are about they're about the same, very static right now. So there's no major influx, no major reflux and change. Again, I would just like to highlight that, for the month of December, this is for December only for just 30 days, 25% of the total visitor spend went toward local businesses. Those are the numbers. It's cool to see the total spend and things of that nature, but I really like to see things like the local businesses benefit from what we are pushing out. And then we can break this down even further into different communities, whether it's Inverness, Homosassa, et cetera, Crystal River, and things of that nature. Of course, we see our top usual suspects in our markets, our visitor markets, our demographics from our card holders. Of course, still 25 to 54. That's not changing, 47%, 42%. That's a bit of an uptick. 42% of those, 47% are 100,000 plus household income, so that's always good. Of course, they have children. 32% of them have children, and then you can kind of see where they're attending as far as their activities: outdoor recreation, obviously accommodations, retail, food, and community facilities. So we're really happy with that as well. Think things are really going well. Now, any questions from this? What are some of the numbers? Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. Strategic plan recap. We talked a little bit about this last month, of course. You guys were a part of an amazing kickoff. And I can't thank you enough for really making the time to be a part of this this analysis that we're going to be providing to the destination and to the entire county. But the next steps, this week, I'm actually going over with Berkeley and Madeline over the first rough draft of the survey before that is launched, and hopefully in a couple of weeks we should have that survey disseminated out to all the community leaders, and then Berkeley and Madeline will return around that February time frame for his next visit, and then that's when we'll have our workshop with you all to focus on the findings of the results of the survey and to figure out what these initiatives look like for the next 3 to 5 years on how we want to move this machine forward. So I'm excited about that as well. A couple other things that I would like to discuss. Any questions on the strategic plan and where it's going?
Do we have a date for February yet?
We don't have a date just yet because we want to get the survey first. And we don't even have a date for the survey. But once I get those dates, we'll make sure you guys have that, yeah. Now, in regards to that, there's a lot of things I just wanted to overview. We are increasing our fam tours. It's all about getting those influencers here. People, in our market, showcasing what we're doing. We're also increasing our exposure on the road, which you've already voted on. Partners in Tourism is coming up next week on the 15th. We will be at Aggregation Distillery. You guys should have a flyer in your package as well, or right on top of that. We are flipping that from not 8:30 to 10. We are flipping that from 3:30 to 5 p.m. That'll be the most important 501 in the county. Joke.
You better go to work.
So we're really excited about that. So just so you know, our next 3, Aggregation Distillery will be next week. Homosassa Distillery will be in February. March will be Oscar Pins in Inverness. And April, we're still open. I think Commissioner Davis mentioned you might have, we need to get with you on that April slot because you mentioned somebody you might know.
Yes.
So
yes.
we still
I'll confirm that today.
Please, because we need because we're on the books because we're getting all these businesses that are beating down our door saying, hey, Alvis, we want to get on the books,
I'll confirm that today. Thank you for reminding me.
No problem. Also, what's really cool about the PIT event, if any of you can attend, not only in TDC but in the audience as well, but we have a special guest, Threshold 360, which Luann might know a little something about, but they are a digital company that provides, Google Analytics and everything of that nature. But what they do is they go into a business, and when you go into Google, like her with the Cove, they'll go in with a camera, all this video type, technology, and then it's almost like you're there. So before you go to the, obviously the attraction or the business or the restaurant or the area, the visitor will get a good keen idea of what they can expect and how they can take advantage of all the offerings of that particular business or that particular establishment. She was our kickoff business, and Threshold 360 will be there presenting your business at Aggregation Distillery. So we're really excited about that. So I hope you are very pleased with the work that they've done, and we will be signing up all the other businesses. At least starting that process next week. So I'm sure once they see what the Cove is looking like, the new technology. By the way, this is the same company that does the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. I want to say the Buccaneer Stadium. They do all these, and it's very inclusive, and it's gonna look really cool, Mike. Even for businesses like yours, we can do some underwater stuff, kind of like that step in the process to store retail. So you guys are like what they've done with the Cove is pretty amazing. And I think the best part about what they've added to their platform is we now will have analytics behind it. So we now can see who's clicking on it. Are they booking something, depending if it's a hotel, restaurant, a combination of both, a business. So we can provide some numbers behind that as well. And the best thing about it is it's free of charge to all our partners. We're not asking for money. We just want your participation so we can enhance our destination, so we can showcase even more what we have going on, because we know we have an amazing product. We talked about our board appointments real quick. That'll be next week for during BOCC, so we should have that finalized. And then other than that's really all I have from a director's report standpoint. Any questions before I hand this off to Terry, and she can you guys can beat her up over the hotel numbers.
Thanks for poking the bear on that one.
Listen, I am who I am, okay? But seriously, on a serious note, I hope you all are very pleased with what we've shown with the numbers and what that campaign has done in regards to the bookings. And by the way, those are confirmed and actual bookings. Like, that is not a guesstimate. Those numbers are actual numbers. And that Sojourn thing, let's just say we're going to keep Sojourn around for a long time, especially because it's able to prove what we're doing and why we're doing, and if a campaign is successful or not. So thank you for that.
You're going to track numbers on how many rooms we actually lose because of FEMA?
Well, we are. That's what we're doing now.
No, but that's a pretty serious thing when you get to the point where confirmed reservations may not be honored.
That's
Well,
no bueno.
Yeah, it's.
so the way the booking bookings, it would work as those rooms would be taken out of inventory, so people wouldn't be able to book new business. I think Mike's situation is these were people that had booked a year ago saying they want to come back with a
Right.
group. Right.
Which is the kind of tourism that we want the most of.
Of course,
Correct,
of
correct.
course.
So but I also want to point out too, if you look on this long sheet that Avis gave you, in the second row of numbers, percent of all accommodation spend that came from visitors is 70%. So, yeah, 30% is probably those FEMA rooms, right? But 70% is still a majority of our rooms are from visitors. So, it's not a panic situation, and I totally
That's a
understand.
solid number.
Yes, this
It
is
is.
article. Yeah, yes.
It is.
I mean, we know, we really know that 70% of those are not displaced
These
residents.
are people, yes, these are people whose phones traveled into destination to stay the night and then left.
And with the
And
and with the
some of
swipe.
those could be FEMA workers that have now started mostly gone, but for a while, it was a lot of FEMA workers.
But
Was it not?
yeah, this is December numbers,
Right.
so,
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to have definitely some matriculation from a FEMA, but it's not going to be a lot at all. And we know that that's a confirmed number because of it's the swipe and it's the geolocation of the phone. So,
Okay.
yeah, we're confident about that. Yeah, none of this is going to be with the resident, and even still with the FEMA. I mean, depending on how they do their accounting, they're not even. It's a voucher, so it's FEMA that's actually taking care of that anyway. So we won't even count that even in our data. Which
And
is
the tracking is not done based on the area code of the phone number. It is the home address of the billing for the phone.
that's a true statement.
yes,
Phone or the credit card?
the credit card,
Yeah.
the credit
It's a
card.
combination of credit cards and phones.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's not based on the area code because what they'll track is
I assume we were way past that. I just wanted to make.
yeah,
I just
they're
wanted to make
time spent in
double sure.
destination.
That's
Yeah.
all.
Geolocation and credit cards.
And that's just what, and to your point, it's like, well, wait a minute, are you guys accounting winter residents? I want to get away from snowbirds, so I like the word winter residents. I mean, Berkeley shared that with us, and it just sounds so much better because I'm hearing that they actually like winter residents and not snowbirds because
Good luck with that.
I know. Because I think they say winter residents because they are also providing to our local economy, and meaningfulness and everything. So anyway, it's play on words. So, but that's all I have. Terry.
Okay. November Star Report, as this is the current month, November versus November, so just the months compared to each other. Versus last November, occupancy is 77.4. Just a note, you will see that rooms available is down 15.5%, okay? So that is taken into consideration with the occupancy number. The ADR, you can see, is up by almost a little over $25 per room, and RevPAR as such is higher as well. So we're all positive except for the rooms available. Next slide. This is year-to-date, and remember, Star Report is a calendar year, not our fiscal year. So this is, again, showing that we're slightly up year-to-date over year-to-date, 63% occupancy. ADR is down overall. I'm thinking that it's sort of, we had a lot to make up for from some slower months like July and August. And we are down in, again, ADR year-to-year. Calendar year on these numbers. Next slide.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Just because I don't know. ADR, is that
Oh.
advanced register?
That's average daily rate.
Okay.
Sorry about that. And
That's all
RevPAR
right.
is revenue per available room.
Gotcha.
So my apologies.
I keep begging for a flashcard deck of acronyms for government jobs. Try being a commissioner, it's ridiculous. I'm sure you got a lot of it.
I will in this one. All right, next slide. So the numbers, you will see, November, these are November revenue numbers. I did confirm with the Department of Revenue. I got an email, I can send it to you.
Love to see it.
Okay, great. These are November collections, versus last year, we are down 1.9%. But we were down 16% with the October numbers, so we're gaining back. The allocation, $34,416, and in total capital, we have just over $1,231,000. So year to date, fiscal year to date, we are down $30,000, or just 8.8, or round up to 9%, versus where we were last year, or last month at 16% down. So we're gaining ground, which is encouraging. Any questions? All right, you're not gonna beat me up because Alva said you were gonna, and now you're afraid to? I like it.
You know, I think it also shows, and I'll add on to, it also shows that, you know, that November, you know, it's definitely something about the room rates were really responsible for us going from that 16% to almost 9%, you know. So, again, you know, just amazing if we had more rooms, it'd be even, we would definitely, it would be in the black for sure. But for us to come out of that, you know, almost 7% in a month's change, it's pretty huge.
And also got some good news last night as well, and I'll share this with everybody. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Kings Bay Lodge is planning to reopen the first week of February. So not a lot, but another 18 rooms back in. And
Yeah, it's huge.
Florida, the Monkey, wait a second, they're the Monkey Island Florida Resort. Anyway.
That's Riverside Resort.
Okay, I thought they did the Monkey Island thing in there, sorry. But they are reopening their second floor rooms at the end of this month, and should have their first floor rooms completed by the end of February. So getting some momentum, getting some things done, so that's really encouraging.
How fast can you get that Marriott launched?
Come on, keep digging.
We need a little pop-up Marriott.
No pressure on Michael Mankey. No pressure. No pressure at all. Speaking of, Mike, if you don't mind, is there any update? We still talking that July timeframe in regards to?
That's still the same update.
Okay,
There's
cool.
No additional information
Okay.
from the last time we had it, and actually no work's being done that I'm aware of at this point either, so.
Okay. We'll continue this, you know, with that message. I know we get calls and stuff, so, you know, and there's always kind of rumors and stuff, but we'll pump the information about, you know, July opening of the plantation and until we hear otherwise from an official person. So, thank you. All right.
Done. All right, in Alyssa's absence, I am going to do hers for her. You can see here on Facebook, we're up to 202,942 followers. Those are some really beautiful posts that she did of that's Inverness and Liberty Park. Look at that beautiful sunrise. God bless her for getting up that early. Of course, the fishing page I've sort of taken over. Not sort of, I have. And we're up to a whopping 23,602 followers. But I've got some pretty lofty goals for myself to get that up and increased with some more frequent posts of different captains around our county. And then Instagram up to we're almost at 40,000 followers for Instagram. So good things are happening there.
And real quick on that post on Inverness, Liberty area, I mean, that's almost 40,000 views. That was one of our most, you know, looked at, clicked on post, you know, over the last 6 months. So that was really good. So that was a beautiful shot. I forget who shot that shot.
That was the gal that, okay.
Oh, Buster.
Yeah,
Buster.
Yeah.
Big Red Sun.
Big Red
Yes.
Sun.
Shot that shot. So kudos, and we gave him credit and everything. But that was it was an amazing shot. So because of its beauty, let's just say it got a lot of likes, a lot of views on it. So kudos to Buster and of course the city of Inverness.
Go ahead. All right. So you can see we're still scratching and clawing to get up to the Florida's historic coast, which is St. Augustine, that area.
Pulling away from Amelia Island.
Pulling a heck of a bump, bump, bump. So we're doing great there. So you can see the insights. I'll just go over it briefly. The views were pretty amazing on Instagram, 118.5 thousand, up 76.7%. And a lot of that is due to some of the content creators that we've had, not content creators, influencers, that we've had in destination, as well as some incredible posts that Alyssa's been making. And, you know, manatee season starting, and that always gets us a little bit more as well. Facebook same kind of results, incredible results there, with the reach being 1.4 million, which is up 71.4. So, just really good news overall, to follow up with all the other previous good news.
And I'll have to say this too real quick, and this is something really important. The images that we're using now, those are all new images that Alyssa has able to corral from our partners, from under the water, above the water, anywhere in the destination. Everything is actually new images. When we found something was submitted or tried to submit, and it was like, wait a minute, this is from like 2 years ago, and we immediately pulled it. So all these clicks and this interest in our destination, this is what's going on now, because we wanted to prove to people that we are open for business. We are ready to accept people in, and some of the images that we've been receiving have been just really amazing. And we're actually working on now, trying to update our database for our video and pictures as well, because we have a lot of dated media on site and on file and everything. But really pleased to know that everything that you see posted on social media, that is occurring. Those are not using restocked images.
Right, those are all user-generated images, so that really makes an impact.
Yeah.
Okay, next slide. This is from Hayworth. Some of the publicity that Hayworth has done for us resulted in 9,334,7 impressions, over 500,000 views, and 154 engagements. Those are, you can see, it's black and white on your packet, but in color you can see that Instagram stories is the majority of it. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. The impressions, it's the articles, online articles, there's a Weather Channel promo that they were running, and that had a lot to do with it as well. All right, on to the next one. I can't read that, so I'm just going to turn around. Tampa Bay Business Journal picked up on a press release and did an article that had 8.6 million impressions. The Weather Channel, again, just talking about that once again, over 500,000, and then the Chronicle used a bunch of our items, and we got 278,000 out of that.
You know, with the Weather Channel, I just want to let people know, let the record show that Mike Ingalls is not the only one that can do live television very well. So, just wanted to put that out
You're
there.
just not gonna live that down.
What was this? We're giving him hell about what?
I just wanted, Mike, Mr. Ingalls, he,
Commissioner Ingalls, I think.
Commissioner Ingalls, yes, he was a part of a live television segment, and he did very well representing, obviously Christie River Water Sports was an amazing organization that he owns, but he did the destination very well, and standing in front and talking about what our entire destination has to offer. So just kudos to him, and all jokes aside, he was a very, very good advocate for the community and for tourism overall. So we appreciate it.
And you read the whole email thread on Spectrum this week?
Yes.
I'm willing to go to St. Pete in my unbelievable schedule if it's going to be like an array of people all talking in the studio together.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be the only one that's zooming in, but
Right.
I don't know.
We can talk about that sidebar, but yeah, we'll make sure that whatever the talking points or the overview that we that
They're
you
doing
that you
a
need.
manatee, their annual, I guess, second annual manatee, all things manatee on Spectrum. So I was on it a year ago. So,
Yeah. So that was a good reach out. So
and they asked me questions that they gave me the questions to prepare for, and then they asked completely different questions.
of course
Oh,
they
yeah,
do.
that's right. I
Oh,
remember.
yeah.
Which was
Of course they do.
really not okay.
You handled it well.
You're going to be overly prepared.
Can't you do like other politicians and just answer whatever you want to answer instead of the question that's asked?
It was too direct to, like,
Couldn't spin it.
Ignore, and press
it was like,
on.
what's your favorite vegetable? And I went off on the brilliance of jet skiing. I mean, like,
Exactly.
it was like the question, there was no way to pivot. And I did pivot a little bit, but it was not my finest moment on TV. I'm hoping it goes better this year. Honestly, that was on them. I was teed up on what I was going to be asked, so.
All right, next slide, please. All right, fan tours and immediate, are you done? No, just kidding.
Wow, this is a tough crowd today.
Can we go back to the numbers?
All right, fam tours and media. So the media side of things, we have Cam Travels. He was already here. That's part of our recovery campaign. And that went super well. He has a huge following, and we'll have great numbers for you next meeting on his Walk and Paddle Florida Springs blog. This month we have Grace Bay and Friends, and that's I believe family. Is that a family travel? Or?
It's some teenagers. Like
Oh.
she's like they're like under 20, but they all three have social channels.
Great.
So we're gonna get
Awesome.
some UGC from them.
They called us, so that was good. Hayward PR sent us Marcia Cazell. She's a writer for AAA, so I'm really excited about that. That's going to enhance our domestic travel. From a trade perspective, I am having a fam tour when I'm not here. Watch me do that. Coming on the 16th through the 18th. They're through Visit Florida, domestic travel agents. There'll be 8 of them and 2 Visit Florida reps.
Who's wrangling them in your absence?
Team effort, yeah.
Team effort.
Team effort.
I'll be in Tampa at the RV show.
All week, she'll be there.
Try the veal. We have Huddle coming to Ocala this year. So, you voted on adding an extra person. That show is going to be at Ocala at the Equestrian Center. And international tour operators do these fam trips ahead of and after, so pre and post show, since they're already over here in the States. We're hosting one from Brazil, the 29th through the 31st. In addition, I'm also hosting individuals from Germany, from Switzerland, France, and Italy, independent people. So we've got a busy, we're entertaining quite a bit in the months of January and February.
And there's 2 more here on the list
That aren't there?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Travel DNA is coming at the end of January. That was coming from Hayworth as well, Dan and Alex, and then also Toronto Star from Canada, Lisa Kadane. She's coming with her husband and her autistic son, so I'm trying to take some extra special time to figure out that tour of how that will go.
Can y'all make sure you get with Cheryl, and, because you wanted me to go to Huddle in Ocala, correct? I just need to know the exact block of time that I need to be there, because I'm tight all the way through March. I have to be in Tally several times, blah, blah, blah.
And even with the Huddle, that's more, we're talking like more of a day
day
trip. Like it'd be like it'd be like a,
And
we'll
it's
say.
the first week of February, so.
Yeah.
First full week
Cool.
of February.
Yeah, it's just first quarter is nuts.
You got it.
Because of legislative session and everything else that's going on. So just get with Cheryl and make sure that it's blocked out on my calendar.
Will do.
And I know that it's optional. It's not, there may be something more critical.
Yeah.
But I'd really like to try to be there.
Yeah. Especially with it being so close this year.
Yeah.
Got a question. Do we have access to a fluent Brazilian Portuguese speaker, and especially some expertise on Brazil? Sometimes, there's residents that will come forward and help, but sometimes we contract.
So no, however, with that particular group, that staff from Visit Florida, that's their market. So that's a person who is within the Portuguese language realm, and they are with us along with the Brazilians, in this case, and even with the UK or even Germany, we have reps that speak the language, obviously English and whatever the language is. Proper English, right? So we're okay with that. We have talked about getting some, because we see a lot of visitation, obviously in the Welcome Center from around the world, and we are looking into getting some cards that say all the same thing, but in the different languages, of course. Three Sisters does a really good job of that as well. That way they can kind of follow different things. So we're going to be looking at some things of that nature, because Google Translate is not always the best. But to answer your question, when we do the dinners or do the excursions, the good thing is we have that person there, with us that, can translate. And if there is a need of translation, luckily most of the people that even from the Brazilians, most of those big time influencers, they speak both English and Portuguese.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Calvin Adams' wife is Portuguese. Or Brazilian. Brazilian, excuse me.
Yeah,
So
okay.
speaks
Yep.
Portuguese. And of course, my stepmother is German.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. And, since the last time we met, we've had 17, different states in destination at the visitor center, and the top 3 would be Florida, Michigan, and Minnesota. I'm sorry. And for international travel, Canada, England, France, Brazil, and Poland.
Poland's not one we see very much.
No, I know, I was like, wow, it's cool.
We are moving right along. Didn't quite make a 10 o'clock ending, but, all right, other business. This is typically when we get a city report.
Okay, I'll give you a city report. So the city report is, I just met with these fine people here, so they kind of were giving me some I'm drinking from a fire hose, trying to get as much information as possible.
Oh,
But,
honey, I feel your pain.
yeah, so I sat down with them for, I don't know, about an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that.
Do like a little board orientation for
Yeah.
for Chris.
And so that's how I ended up here, of course. And I will take this meeting report back when we have our next city council meeting, which is next Monday.
So Chris, of course, Holly knows this. What I'll provide you is I'll provide you a summary of the highlights of the meeting.
You said you
know.
would, so I was hoping that you would.
Yeah,
But I was
so-
taking notes anyway.
Yeah, so that'll way to help you be, a little bit more ready for your meeting. And it'll be the same report that I'll give to Commissioner Davis for that. So you'll be prepared for that as well. So it's not.
And
a
I
problem.
guess then the last thing is, yesterday, we had a planning session with the city. We did, gosh, it was 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock, coming up with all the things that we want to try to get done, get finished up. One of the highlights, the big things is we're really making a push on the Riverwalk. And then there's some other things, of course, we've got still displaced the city hall. So we're working on all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm kind of jamming on that sweater. I like that, Luann.
Thank you.
Do you have anything?
No.
Just since we're not meeting in February, I don't know if you guys were aware, CCA Awards Banquet rescheduled. It was supposed to happen in October, and obviously we had all kinds of weather issues. They're rescheduled for February 22nd to be at I can't ever get the name of that place right.
Citrus Acres.
Sweet Citrus Acres, which
Matter of
is the
fact, I
fulfillment of
already
part of the
named it.
obligation we had with our sponsorship of the CCA Star Tournament. So February 22nd.
What is CCA?
Coastal Conservation Association. They're huge in that world.
And Terry, do you want to just kind of talk about how big that as an event is for us?
Yeah, we're anticipating over 500 people from all around the state and even out of state, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, to come in. And so the majority of those folks are going to spend the night, if they can find a room, or an RV spot. But it is we're sponsors of the Star Tournament, which is a tagged redfish tournament primarily. That's how it began. CCA goes out, tags a bunch of redfish. But as a tournament sponsor, we get 4 additional fish tagged in our region. 4? Yeah, 4.
Twice as many, yeah.
Twice as many. So better chance for people to come to our area and fish it and stay the night and blah, 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 because they have a better chance. But so far, no one has caught one during the competition. But, I mean, they give away boats, they give away just unbelievable prizes. So,
Over $500,000.
Yep.
Yeah. And we have a table this year, so if any of the TDC would like to, we can send out an invite and some times. And if you guys would like to join us, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, it's a great party.
What day is that?
22nd of February.
So we'll definitely send that information out for you guys to if you guys want to attend. I went my first time when I was just here a couple of weeks when I went to my first one, and it was I was the only guy in a suit there. I didn't know but the dress code, so this year I won't be in a suit.
The difference with this one is they will actually announce the award winners. It's not just the fundraising part, which CCA always does,
Right.
but the different scholarship funds they do, plus the boats if they win them, plus the 8 different divisions, onshore, offshore. Yeah, it's
trash
trash
collection.
can.
Yeah.
They're gonna have a new one next year, Lisa was telling me, for spots.
Oh, cool.
So you can
Redfish
enter
spots.
redfish spots, and the person at the end of the 101 days of fishing that has the redfish with the most spots will win an award.
I like,
Nice.
I could win that one.
Pull out the Sharpie.
What are you and Cindy?
All done, Michael?
Yes, thank you.
Max?
Couple of things that I'm working on in my writing capacity, but that spill into preparation for participation in the strategy. First and most important one is, in a world of outdoor adventure, there's going to be in the future two kinds of communities. Those that have off-road biking facilities, primarily what we call mountain biking, and those that don't. So I'm working with a group to try to make sure we get that, and as always, I want to see it balanced, that we have it both on the east side of the county and somewhere in the Crystal River area. And in that capacity, I had a chance through my writing partner to have one of the states, certainly the Central Florida expert on building trails, on what's involved in both the physicality of building off-road biking trails, and also the political structure of how the folks up in Santos got to where they are and how Croom got to where it is. And I really hope that we're gonna, and probably should have asked for this in the budget, but didn't think that far ahead, get some expertise to help our folks that are writing the strategic plan to have a few niches, but to me, the low-hanging fruit, mountain biking or off-road biking is definitely one of them that we've got to find a way to get in the game, because as more and more tourists want a place where a family can come and do things, it's grows all the time. Golf is dying, biking is growing. Bikes that they sell are in the thousands of dollars. It's just a lucrative business that we've got to find our way to get a chunk of. So that kind of expertise needs to be injected. The other one for me personally is historic tourism. There's more and more folks that are, and this tends to be more senior folks that travel just to see historic sites. And there's trails. There's a Seminole War trail that we're not part of. And when you look at how large a capacity of the Seminole Nation spent decades here, and several of the engagements we had, it's just low-hanging fruit. It's not expensive to get on to those trails, and I hope we can find a way to inject the expertise. I know one of our Citrus County historical experts, Ken Morrow, is regularly in the Chronicle now, and has a real good reader following. We've got history. We just need to turn that into tourism. So those are two things that I'm working on.
Yeah, I agree with you on the bike trails. Has been one of our top questions here in the last 6-8 months from our Airbnb guests. What trails do you have? Where are they? And I'm like, gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
So,
We do need to figure that out, and this is bringing back a memory of 4 years ago. I was brand new commissioner, and I did an entire, I did research and basically a strategic plan for what to do with Rock Crusher Canyon, because it was for sale.
Right.
And it had a house that could be like a really special wedding venue at the top of the hill, like you can see way out into the Gulf from the hill. It's amazing. Do all sorts of bike trails on those very steep roads, that are in their dirt tracks, and then swimming hole, and then the amphitheater, and I did the whole business case and got nowhere with the commission. And it was really very late in the game anyway, and Dick's Development swooped in and bought it, and I begged him, I said, please carve out some of that for the county to acquire as another park, give us a shot at it, and he said, I can't make the numbers work. So it's gonna be a private park for those residents.
Well, for expanding biking trails, and personally, I think we need to get some wheelchair accessible trails. That's a growing area, and there's, in technology, we're getting better and better wheelchairs that can actually go on most of the standard forest trails, and many places have started having tour guides who are certified, they're emergency medical stuff and all those things, so that they can take folks, besides it being a great thing to do as human beings, there's money in that too, to have tourism to be one of the places that has some place where a person in a wheelchair can spend 2 hours in the forest and get feeling and get the good feelings. And
This is all wonderful, next level, future thinking stuff, and how do we facilitate that?
well, we're
Is it
already
gonna come out in
working
the
on it.
strategic
Some of this
plan?
dialogue has been going
Yeah.
on as part of the strat plan, the first session we had. But I'd like to see us benchmark. I think anything worth having is worth stealing, and there's enough communities that already have it.
You realize you're on tape with that comment.
Okay, well, I said it and I mean it. But there's enough communities that have it in their strat plan that we should be able to at least benchmark off some of, and I know
Sure.
you've had some excellent contacts and
Yeah, you know-
contributed to the creation in the Carolinas of.
In some of the cities that I've been a part of, and I think Max is right on the head. You know, a lot of these trail systems and those the planning for that has really been either a city or a county initiative, because it speaks to so many avenues, not just from a tourism standpoint, but just from a residential, from a quality of life, accessibility you're talking about with as a wheelchair standpoint. So, you know, I think it's a part of my vision. I've met with both Max, Dr. Desai on several meetings in regards to trail, because I think it's a big business. It's just a lot we can capture from it. I mean, I've been on the Withlacoochee and the different trailheads and Inverness and in Floral City, and I'm seeing the traffic that these shops have and that these people are going across the roads, and it's pretty mind-boggling at what we have, you know, just with the Withlacoochee Trail, you know, like, you know, and that's just really just a small thing. That's not even really considered mountain biking or anything
It's
of that
several
nature.
$1 million of small.
Yeah,
that
you know.
brings into the county.
But no, 100%. But my point is that that's just one artery. Like we definitely have the landscape and the topography to be even more. I mean, we can be like we have a mecca type of product here where it can be something really good.
Well, and the biggest challenge we face is that so much of our county and so many of the areas that would be perfect for more trails and better trails is under control of Swift Mud or of the park system. And we have never really, again, I spent a lot of time in the 80s and 90s doing ecotourism in Panama as part of our giving the canal back. And the experts all said one thing: you have to have skin in the game. We have set a lot of area aside without challenging it as preserves, and meaning you can't do anything with it. Skin in the game means that real estate has to produce capital, it has to produce jobs, and we've never gotten a good look at the community and then gotten our partnership more mature with Swift Mud and with Parks and the state Parks and Recs, and particularly with the forestry folks. There are many areas that we would increase the environmental impact of them by having people be able to go in there, and biking is one of those. But we have to have some mindset changes that go on, and we got to figure out how to make to get that assessment, because I'm not sure what the number is, but we have a very large percentage of this county that's not private, and it's public but not accessible. And if we're going to get to the point where we can do trails, people just don't want parks that don't have adventure in them. Adventure tourism is the growing area, and it's what we have to offer and what we could develop. But we got to figure out how to do that.
Inventory-wise, we have Withlacoochee State Forest, which has all kinds of trails in it.
Yes,
Right.
and no problems there.
Okay, so those are all open all the time, correct? I don't know how many hills we have in the Withlacoochee State Forest.
Lots, right? We have the central ridge that runs through that its real name is the Brooksville Ridge, and you get an elevation from 35 to 75, 80 feet, which in Florida is
Is
a
a
lot.
lot, yeah.
And because so much of it was phosphate mined, it has texture to it. It's got, you've got ups and downs, you've got places where nature has reclaimed it, and it's created some very unique looks and
So we have the inventory, we just need to figure out a way to market
access
it.
it. Yes.
Access or market, that's two different things.
First thing is access. You have to build the trails. You have to get the consensus.
Okay.
Yeah.
And once you
And that
start
involves working with the state to do that?
getting permission, but then it's building community associations. If you look at the history of, and the huge amount of money that is hitting Ocala from mountain biking, it's because a group of people in the 80s started just going in and making the trails themselves. And they're like everything else in Florida, heavily count on volunteers, but this kind of volunteerism where people go out and make and manage trails is very exciting to the group in the age 25 to 40 range.
But are they using state forests for those trails?
Yes?
I'm looking for the political angle here. Who do I have to talk to get permission to do that? And if they've already established a precedent for that in Marion County, then clearly they would probably be willing to do it in Citrus County. And therefore, all I have to do is loop in J.J. Grow and Blazin' Golia.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. J.J.
Go to
Grow
forestry.
is probably
Yeah.
the guy. His predecessor, the Dr. Marcelo, was a real champ on trails. He was probably one of the best in the country on
We
supporting
love
trails.
us some Ralph.
Commissioner Davis, maybe, may I add, suggest, maybe I will get with James Toy. And probably put a meeting together with James, myself, Max, Dr. Sy as well, and some other trail people in the community, just to kind of get a reboot on, from a legislative standpoint, potentially, I guess, right? Or from a government standpoint, to figure out what that next step looks like and what needs to be done, and see how we can potentially piggyback off of the success of Marion County. So I think that might be a good start.
But
at least.
and also, if we
I'm
could just
pretty tight with Wilton Simpson, and he, that's the
Yeah.
ag commissioner.
Yeah.
So,
If we could invest a little bit of money in subject matter expertise, the individual that I met was eye-watering, and I don't suspect he's all that expensive, but instead of making it up as we go along, or Tom and I, and a group, including the Mayor Meek, started working with folks from the Ocala group. And one member happens to own a bike shop and also be on the TDC of
Marion County.
But the amount of time that they have to volunteer to help us down here to somewhat become their competition is limited. So if we don't make a small investment in subject matter expertise, we won't get where we need to get. And it is a competition because trail mileage is going up, and the demand that more and more of the folks that can facilitate outdoor adventure for all sorts of bike trails, but particularly off-road trails, is growing significantly.
I'll also add, with the Rock Crusher, I applaud. I know exactly where you were going with that, and it's too bad that you couldn't make that initiative happen. But I can tell you this right now, and I can maybe give you some examples. But in Rock Hill, South Carolina, there was a Riverwalk development developer. Of course, it's all about mixed-use development, homes, shops, express YMCA, and all that kind of stuff. I think it was about a 1,000-acre site. 100 acres was donated back to the city. And what they did with that was tax incentives for the developer, of course, but it made that property even more desirable. When we're talking about you can make the money, you can make the numbers work. Well, actually, the numbers really work, and not only does it work, but it's an international stop now because they have 5 cycling disciplines headquartered right there, including a mountain bike course, cyclocross, BMX supercross, a criterium course, or and another road course. But my point is, and I know we have a strategic plan with the county, but going forward with some of these developers and things of that nature, maybe we can start to get with the county and see how we can propose when these developments are coming into our community, where they be a part of some sort of a tax incentive or whatever, where they donate a certain acreage back to the county or back to the city or wherever they is, and then you can create these attractions from a cycling standpoint.
And
which
I will
we,
tell you
know.
that in following for the last 10 years, the development of the C2C trail. It's a 240-mile trail that starts at the tip of Pinellas County, comes all the way up to Brooksville, and now they're connected, goes straight across until you hit the Kennedy Space Center. And
Wow.
Tom and I have written it and written about it. There's a thing called the C2C Alliance that has gotten huge amounts of money in the millions from the state because they work several counties together, and they have all put in place policies that no new development comes in unless you create connectors to the trails. And it's exactly what you just said. They're
Yep.
getting right up front. They're saying, we have to grow, we understand that, but we need to protect what we've got and make recreation more usable to people that are buying these houses. And they're doing it in literally that trail, basically start with Sumter County and work all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. Those counties are working together with their neighbors to get the money and have policies in place that you must support trail development or community recreation in order to get it developed.
We're working on land development code and comp plan,
Sorry.
bit by bit.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, I appreciate you adding that, because that's something I can bring up with, I actually, my update to the strategic initiatives is due this week to Steve Howard, because we're about to have our strategic planning retreat this month. So I'll add that to the list of things that we need to look at. Dr. Desai?
Well, I can summarize about the trails. We had a couple of meetings with the government park people. Dr. Mazzulla, the representative, Tom was there. And the biggest obstacle is the employee. The government employee doesn't want to get engaged because they'll have to do more work. Actually, that was the biggest problem because we
You
had
just offended about half the room, but okay.
It's okay.
I'm kidding.
This was the fact, right? Tom can add on, because we had a free dirt coming from the shoppies of the Black Diamond. We had architecture coming there, the people from Ocala Trails were there. And then we decided after JJ comes, we'll get moving again. So
Yeah.
hopefully this year we can do. Tom, you can add later on in the public session.
Mike? Nada?
No.
Don't want us to pick on you anymore?
Oh, I don't care about that.
I
Or
got-
I could take up 32 minutes, I used to teach.
yeah.
In the,
Holly, I got one question.
yes,
Does anybody know anything about Preservation Point and what's going on?
no.
I don't know anything about it.
Remind, that's the one
That's
on
the
the
RV
lake
park that's being built across from the cove.
by the Edens?
It is, well, they're part of it, a small part
Is
of
it
it.
private?
Yeah, I have no idea.
It's huge.
Yeah, and more visible from the road all the time.
Yeah, there's, I think, what, 197 pads, and they're building a golf course and
Yeah, I'm having a little
marine
PTSD
boats.
because of the Denellen RV. I'm like, is that what she's talking about? Because I thought
Yeah.
Paradise
It's
Point was the
on
Inverness.
44 right across.
Yeah, I know.
from
I just wanted to make sure it was the
I mean,
right
we have-
development name.
I've tried to get information, can't get any.
Have you tried the city of Inverness? Because I know that they,
I know they're running water out there.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, is they, before they even broke ground, they had to change the,
Yeah. But still,
Use,
you know,
land use.
I tried to reach out to them for our breakfast so I could come give a presentation, and I can't
Yeah,
get
we-
anybody to
we
return a
tried.
phone call, and there's nothing on the website. I mean, but there's all kinds of work going on. I would think they would be interested in,
Pardon me?
yeah.
have you reached out to Eric Williams?
Well,
at
I can
City
do
of
that.
Inverness?
It's just I thought maybe somebody here.
Oh,
No, I've tried on a couple of notes to reach out, but I've gotten like nowhere, nowhere. So I don't. It's almost like finding where's Waldo.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's called strategy.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to get permission or forgiveness after you've got it all the way you want it than it
Yeah.
is to get permission to do it right now.
So I have something on the, since I'm sparked by the trails discussion. Y'all probably know the math on this, but because this meeting is recorded and sometimes people like to watch things and then throw stones, I'm going to start off with a discussion on the brilliance of adding a local option sales tax to Citrus County. We are the only county in the 67 Florida counties that do not have a local option sales tax, which means every time we spend money outside the county, we are funding stuff in every other county, and none of our neighbors are funding our stuff. And so there's also, from a strategic standpoint, there is no downside. We won't price ourselves out of our neighboring areas, right, if we add a penny. I have been working on this for a couple of years. Obviously, the only vote that the commission does is to send it to the voters. It has to pass at a general election. So the voters get to decide. I sat in on a few different presentations at Florida Association of Counties by the Florida Land Trust, which has a ridiculous batting average on success rates. I think they've failed on like one thing on getting it passed. Part of that success rate is that they will do a lot of pre-work in the community, and if they don't see that it will pass, they will say, we're not going forward. And it's, we would have to pass, there would be an open bid for people to handle this for us, but essentially, Florida Land Trust and met specifically with the Florida, the northern portion of that. They will run this for us for a fee, and it's very reasonable, but some fraction of the 1 cent has to be for land preservation. So I would suggest that we look in all 5 commissioner districts. Pirates Cove would be a perfect example of something that lights Commissioner Kennard's fire and would help District 1. Obviously, that ship will probably have long sailed by the time this, if and when, gets passed, but it's a great option. The Avenue of the Oaks in Floral City, are there any great bike trails in Floral City that could use, so we would essentially be preserving land that is under county control, not state control. It would come into our park system, is one way to go about this. Or it could just be flat out off limits preservation land if it's ecologically sensitive, et cetera, et cetera. So all of this is in the early discussions. We'll be doing a workshop or some sort of presentation soon. I've been working with James Toy on that to hopefully get buy-in from my fellow commissioners. And everyone needs to remember that I'm just one commissioner. I got to get at least 2 more to come along. And I wish the voters understood the dynamics of the board and how one person can end up changing things dramatically on a board.
Well, especially in that case, that 1% would be an investment in protecting the Citrus County we love.
Yes, it's
all
we're
about
nature.
preservation.
I'm guessing, and they'll test what the voters would be willing to pay for. And the common wisdom here is that you put something in there for everyone. So you usually split the penny 2, sometimes 3 ways. So it would probably be a fraction for land preservation and a fraction for infrastructure. Those are our 2 biggies. Not residential road resurfacing, as some people have said, because we have too many sand roads and too many private communities where we can't pave. And so that needs to go somewhere else. But infrastructure like widening 491, we're gonna need a lot of different pots of money to do that,
Yeah,
beast.
and-
And I'm talking about from Pine Ridge to 200.
But
That's
bike-
gonna be ungodly expensive.
Bike lanes that are safe everywhere would be a really great one too.
Yeah. Bike lanes would be great. So, anyway, so that's one of the many irons I have in the fire for this year. So just be thinking about, if this goes forward, we kind of need for example, this is what we could do for the community. And we do have a large county, and I am not familiar with every stinking corner of it. A lot of them, but not every one of them. So please let me know if you have any ideas. And that's, anything else? Do open to the public?
Real quick, Luann, we'll do some double back staff wise to see what information we can find on preservation, to see if we can just contact or just something. So we'll do what we can with it.
Well, it'd be interesting to know.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds, you know, from their advertisement, it sounds like it's gonna be pretty spectacular.
Right.
Oh, and I totally forgot the biggest math, just in case anyone's watching and saying that doggone Davis wants to raise taxes. It's stuff that we that we either need or desperately want, and we get a 25% discount on it, is essentially how it works. Because 25% of it will be funded from out-of-county dollars. So it actually is a much more, instead of going on general fund taxes. So, there you go. Open to the public.
Sorry I wasn't at the beginning, walked in a little late.
So did I.
I'm Al with Discovery Map of Citrus County. Just a little recap. Sorry, horse, I got a little cold, so I got a little hoarse here. But I've, in the last 8 weeks, distributed 22,000 maps at 400 distribution points. And the map is to promote the area, the small businesses in our area, and draw people to the area, kind of like what everybody in here is trying to do. I'm going to all the neighboring counties to try to draw people from those areas, and I've gone to the villages, to basically hotels and things like that where people are transient or looking for things to do, and it's within a driving distance to get to us. I've also helped distribute the Discover Crystal River booklet that just printed out like a couple months ago. I've distributed about 400 of those too, in addition to my map. So,
Awesome.
okay, thank you.
Any questions, board? No?
I'll say it's a very good map. A lot of good feedback on it. It's with the whole animation thing behind it. Definitely, it was a much needed component to our other assets. So.
It's been well received, and a lot of the hotels with the guests who come in like it because it gives them all the access roads and where they need to go from town to town. So once they're in the town, like say in Inverness, they got a way and they know how to get to Crystal River and Homosassa and vice versa. So they're able to get those main roads and have a way to get them back and forth. So
Good deal.
thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? Come on up, Tom.
Hi, Tom Craig, Forest Drive, Inverness. I'm here on behalf of citrustrails.org. We have met with a couple of trail builders, and the one that we're very happy with brought up something that's interesting to add to this conversation. There is such a thing called the NICA, which is the National Interscholastic Cycling Association, which is reaching out to high schools in Florida to join other high schools in developing mountain bike clubs at high schools. And as I understand from Mike, the owner of Natural Trail Building, Brooksville is looking at going to their high school and setting that up. Because he developed the Croom bike trails, and he's a major contributor to the Santos complex up there. He's encouraging other cities in the area. He just spoke at a city council meeting in Zephyr Hills about building a bike trail and getting the high school involved in that. And then in talking what Max said about accessible, Mike also builds
For 3 minutes?
accessible trails. And it would be part of the trail that's built so that someone who's handicapped can take a different trail on a mountain bike trail situation. So just a couple of additions to that.
Yeah, and the high school thing across the country, you start with clubs, but then there's competitive teams, and there are Olympic events, and there are communities that are actually setting in their goals, that have specifically set in their goals, producing athletes for the United States teams in coming Olympics. So, and like in terms of getting high school folks activities that are positive, that help physically, and that bond them to the community, that's one of the reasons it's growing the way it is, so. The example I will cite is, we didn't have swimming in our high schools until we got the swimming pool at Whispering Pines, and all of a sudden, we had swimming teams and competitive, good things happening. Same principle, just next generation application.
If you build it, they will come.
Anyone else for open to the public? All right, seeing none, we'll close open to the public. Before I forget, when you're working with Cheryl on the huddle dates, can you make sure all the pit dates get plugged into my calendar, because I overscheduled on the night of the 15th, so I can't be there. And I probably would have made a different
Yeah. And like I said, usually that's in the morning. We just flipped it.
Yeah, which would make sense when there's, liquor involved, yes.
Right, well, and I suspect, the next one in Homosassa is still a real big evening too.
You're probably right.
And does anybody know anything about what's going on with Whispering Pines with remember the RV park idea that they had? Because all of a sudden it's hitting my radar a lot, like people are mentioning it to me. Has there been some action on that?
There was an article in the Chronicle, this past week, and
That would be
just
it.
mentioned that it's still moving forward.
Yeah.
But we have not heard from the city of Inverness as to, any requests.
Yeah.
And Tom probably can't talk because that would be official, but as a Inverness resident who has tracked it all along, you have to remember that Whispering Pines is actually state property. It's part of the Withlacoochee State Forest. We get it on a cheap rent for long term. But the primary funding device for almost every one of the state parks and for the system overall is RV rentals. And we actually have a shortage on our side of the county of things that generate bed tax funds, and RV sites do that. So the deal that's being worked out, it's not worked out, but Eric's a real wise city manager. He happens to have a strong background in this sort of planning, and they have identified one excess ball field to the uses of sports tourism that would be converted, and it's going to be a limited size. It will dovetail nicely with the new entrance on the 41 side instead of on Forest Drive, and it'll generate money because there's a long-standing issue on how much of Whispering Pines is used by the rest of the county that's not part of the 7,700 people that pay taxes in Inverness. There's about, I've heard between 20 and 30,000 people by the Inverness Postal Service. So that part costs a lot of money, and we've got to come up with a way to pay the bills, and the RV park is probably that way.
Okay.
That's just of citizens up here.
Yeah, the folks that have contacted me so far are adamantly opposed to it, so I thought it sounded like a good idea when it was presented, but.
Somebody's always moving my cheese, and it really makes me mad. But that park, the county contributes to the system, I think, about $300,000, but that doesn't even come close to what the two parks, what the usage is of Citrus County residents, of folks that come literally from Denellen and the villages to use some of the activities there. But it's as simple as this. Everybody wants to not raise taxes, but everybody wants to increase the services they get, or at least maintain the ones they are. It's well documented how much Whispering Pines costs, and it comes out of city treasury.
Okay. Okay, one last thing, unless anybody has anything else. If we could, add the Discover Crystal River logo at the bottom of this, I think that this ought to be a monthly thing in the mailbox of each of the commissioners.
Oh, sure.
Just to keep selling this board because if the more the other commissioners are up to speed on how much tourism adds to our economy and our workforce,
100%.
the more that they can defend it to folks.
Sure.
So,
Thank you.
any other comments? All right, we're adjourned.